know there's a lot of people that have these issues that are scared to let it out because they don't want to be judged or anything. But the people that do that don't get no help.
No.
So Kelly is here to get some help. So just give us a little rundown of what you want to talk to the doctor about.
Okay, basically, I think we have this issue when we get to be in our 40s and you get back in the relationship scene and you're trying to find somebody to spend your life with. You know you want to settle down, you want to be in a committed marriage. And you start dating, and then when you haven't dated in 10 years, dating is way different at 44 than it is at 34.
So you haven't dated in 10 years, meaning you were in a relationship?
I was in a long-term relationship for 7 years, and coming out of a relationship, you see things different at this point. So I think people told me I needed to take time. I needed to take time. I needed to heal. And once you go through the healing process, you decide, okay, well, now I think that I'm ready. So I think that our culture doesn't truly know how to date. The dating that we saw growing up was you date one person and then y'all go together and then we're in a relationship for 7 years.
Yeah.
Like, that's not dating. You don't really get to know a person. If that's the only person that you're seeing, you have nobody to compare it to.
Right.
So I wanted to truly experience dating, and it's been a trip.
What are some of the trips you've come across
for a woman in her 40s? What are some of the challenges about dating?
I think you have a certain expectation. You have a you feel like you want to go to nice places. You want you like nice. You're accustomed to nice things. So I provide nice things for myself, so I expect whoever I'm dating to provide those same things. So, you expect nice conversation. You expect you guys to. I'm a football fanatic, so I expect you to like football. I expect us to be able to engage in real conversation,
and that's what you're not getting.
I mean, I get it to a certain degree, but I mean,
So, Doctor, what do you think is the issue with that? Why is that she's saying basically that men are not giving the good conversation, the expectations that there are? Because everybody has expectations.
The expectations are just different.
Right.
Like what my expectations are if we're dating may not be what his expectations are in dating.
So is the communication not there?
I think it's just the conversation just needs to be had.
You might be. Are you a Cowboys fan? Is that what?
No,
because that'll kill you right there.
Well, let's say I was born a Cowboys fan, but in 1999, I was born again.
Oh,
okay.
And I'm a Titans
Tighten
fan.
up.
You might find love, man.
Oh yeah. Phones are ringing off the hook.
Especially in this season.
How about that, Cowboys? I'm sorry.
So, Doctor, what do you think? What do you say about her, about what she's had to say?
Well, the biggest thing is like what you were saying, Cece, is communication. I don't think we come into relationships doing the DTR, defining the relationship. You have to come in, not first date, not second date, but somewhere when you feel like, okay, we may have a little some. You got to define the relationship. You have to come in and say, hey, this is what I want. This is what I expect. And then the biggest thing is you have to be committed to what you're saying, because they're going to test you on that.
And it's not so much though, but I figured out that if you try to define the relationship too early.
Exactly. That's why I said not first date, because a lot of people come in there premature and mess themselves up.
On the first date, you like, well, this is what I'm looking for. This one, I don't want to do that because I don't want that done to me.
Don't bring out your laundry list and say these are requirements.
But a lot of men ask you. They will ask, what are you looking for, or something like that. Then what do you say if you don't want to bring it out then? Do you say, we'll see, or do you go ahead and answer the question?
No, I say, we'll see where this is going. You kind of got to reserve a little bit as well. So
okay.
So I'm going to give you a question I want you to ponder on, and because we got to go to break and we will come back. And if you guys want to ask the doctor a question, if you're going through the same thing, hit us up 737-9292, dating in your 40s.
Or if you want to ask Kelly a question,
you want to ask Kelly something,
what's up?
You can ask. Here's a question I want you to think about, Kelly, before we come back. But what do you think it is that Kelly's putting into the mix of this whole dating thing not happening for Kelly?
Well, I think prior to taking extra baggage from previous relationships into this one, whatever happened prior to has nothing to do with him. And he didn't cut me, so I shouldn't bleed on him. So it's basically, I had to heal. I had to do the necessary work to make sure that I was okay and make sure that it was time for me to even seek somebody else or even be in a place to be able to date. Because if I'm still worried about what happened 10 years ago or 15 years ago or even 25 years ago, that's not fair to them. And holding them accountable for someone else's actions isn't fair.
Right.
Dr.
As soon as you see somebody doing something that your ex did, you're like,
Right.
You know.
Exactly.
And it may not even be the same thing.
You do learn things now.
Right.
You do need to be aware.
Yeah, don't be no fool.
Right, don't be no fool.
Yeah, but some things are just men. You know what I'm saying? Some things that we see as red flags are not, always the red flag of the relationship. That's just men.
Right.
So sometimes you can self-sabotage a relationship, because you think this person is doing something that your previous, when they just men. And they just, sometimes they just do some of the same things.
Like stupid things.
Yeah,
but whatever.
stupid things.
We do. I'm not going to lie about that.
Yeah, you do.
I mean, women are more mature, than men. I'm sorry. They just are. We have, like I talked about one time on the show before, we grew up, in Ken and Barbie and all these things.
Right. And
room
we have
for a
those
relationship.
yes,
they sitting up
absolutely.
here with, G.I. Joe men and football.
Right.
They have no relationship concept whatsoever. And then if they didn't have it in the family, where do they get their examples from?
And then, but I mean, and I find it hard because I have a son. I was a single mom, and I raised my son to know how to treat a woman. Mm-hmm. He absolutely knows how to treat a woman. He knows what his role is in the relationship. So I think it has a lot to do with me loving on him properly and showing him that this is how, even though you didn't have this as a two-parent household, but this is going forward. Right. This is what you need to be doing.
But you said something really powerful too. You heal, because imagine you don't just bleed off on another relationship. We oftentimes bleed off on our children.
Right. That's
so that the healing part and that part of the process is very important. So you don't repeat that.
You can't ask
but
him
I'm
that
just
now,
saying.
They didn't come to the end.
I'm just saying.
You asked him that
you
from
had
10
to
years
then,
ago. Then my son is 27.
Yeah.
So he and I grew up together. Mm-hmm. So he's seen it all. You know, we grew up together, and he's very honest about it.
And he learned also by how you carry yourself, how women are supposed to be.
So he knows
because most men marry their mothers anyway.
Yeah.
So what I want to know from you, Dr. Kimble, is what can she do, or what can a man do, or how can she handle it to where she can possibly find true love? Maybe some things she doesn't need to say, or doesn't need to do, or doesn't know where she needs to go. What are some things, some tips that you can give to Kelly to make this a better transition into a possible relationship?
Well, one of the things that we were talking about prior to us coming in here was, women have to take their power back too. Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid to have those tough conversations because you're afraid that a man is going to leave.
I think that's most important.
That's exactly why we do the singles panel.
Absolutely.
We do that because we need to have conversations. Men and women need to have conversations about what they
men
expect.
need to come out to those things.
They don't. And
absolutely.
That's the problem.
It's always women.
When we've done it, this will be my second time doing it. The first time, it was never a problem with the women. The women have no issue coming and saying what they're looking for.
Right.
But I find that men, well, first of all, they say they single, but they really not single. Like
absolutely.
how many singles?
I was going to say that, like, why
how
men,
many
if they telling y'all that they
you?
having these single women hangout parties, why y'all not go? Why y'all
Because
not
they're
to the
not
club?
really single.
Some of them are single. They just scared
single.
to come get some successful women. They be wanting to go to the club and get them some bottle
Yeah, but like we
poppers.
say, people.
And then, to be honest,
I
a
would
lot of
show
men
up to
don't
this
like
and
the
go
work.
learn by myself.
A lot of men don't like the work either because
and it's work involved. It's work involved.
They
and
want it
all
easy.
say that
The club
it's
is
12 women to one man. But 8 of those ain't really potential for you.
Absolutely.
Like 8
That's
of those
right.
you wouldn't even date. Now you might have another type of relationship with 8 of
Right.
those. But really, you lucky if you get 3 to 4 quality women out of that. So why not come somewhere? Because I'm only bringing quality women to my mixer. So why wouldn't you come somewhere and you
good
know
women
that it's
there. Good women there. The clean girls.
It's tough.
Hey, fellas, she said she got a 27-year-old. That means that house is empty. That means you can come over there and make noise all you want to.
That's right. Be up in there like baby boy.
Kool-Aid. Drink up the last of the Kool-Aid.
I mean,
empty nested.
they really need to come out and have those healthy conversations.
And it's a very healthy conversation. And all you want to know is, like I said, I engage single women in conversation all the time because I love to hear what their take is on certain topics. And you would be amazed at the difference in how men think versus how women think just when it comes to dating.
We see it all. I see it all the time.
Well, of course
but another thing too is your list. Sometimes we come with these lists.
Ooh,
here we
go.
I want him to be 6 foot, 6 pack, 6 this, and then you're gonna end up with a devil with all them 6. That's
Watch out, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to steal that one.
And then the enemy is sitting up there listening to your list. So you're like, I got the right joker for you.
Right.
Yes, I think that women, I think that
men are in style.
regular built men, and I agree with you, Sleazy, because a lot of times women have a list and then they miss out on their blessing because there might be something on that list that
It's okay to have a list, but the list needs to change.
And it's
it
not
needs
perfect.
to evolve.
That's right.
All right, guys, we're going to break here real quick. We're taking some of your comments, questions.
Yo.
Dating in your 40s.
With Kelly and Dr. Kimball.
Kelly and Dr. Kimball in here. Hopefully you're hearing something that's going to help you out if you in that boat. And even if you're in the younger boats, you might be able to learn something. Let the OGs bring you where you need to be.
That's right.
All right?
So I do the singles mixer every quarter, but this particular one I did invite only just because I found that if you have a special invitation, you'll be willing to talk. You'll be more vulnerable.
Okay.
And so I only did a certain amount of girls and a certain amount of guys just to bring so we can have the conversation. Now, the spring one will be more of a mixer and music and that type of thing, but this one was invite only. So you can inbox me because I have a couple of spaces left for a few guys and a few girls.
So inbox where?
Oh, just inbox me, Kelly Agnew. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I'm
AGNEW.
AGNEW.
All right.
And I'll be more than happy to come out if you.
I do want you to come.
Oh,
Absolutely.
I
I absolutely need you to come.
So, Dr. Kimball, what do you think, dating your 40s, the situation you've been listening this morning, like all of us, what do you think are a few key things, 3 or 4 key things that need to happen?
Well, open communication is definitely number one. Not first date, but, somewhere in there, DTR, define the relationship, define what you're looking for. And then, also, you may need to lower your standards or you may need to raise your standards depending on what they are. And then lastly, you have to, and it's not only a new year, it's a new decade. So if I wouldn't, if I was still single, I wouldn't be wasting my time with nothingness.
We have no time to waste.
It's not a word, but I just wouldn't be wasting my time at 40 in my 40s.
44.
Like either you come with it or move around because you're blocking somebody else's
There
blessing.
you go.
Yeah, you're blocking the kids.
Somebody
Ma'am,
else's blessing.
you better
You
tell
standing
it.
in the way.
Oh,
You're
wow.
all in the way.
You all in the way.
You heard
Move
what she
around.
said. You heard what she said. It's Dr. Kimball.
I
We're going to
said
come
what I
back.
said.
She said what she said.
She said
All
what
right.
she said.
Uh-huh.